I noticed our village in Norridge had their board meeting tonight, and I saw several board members come in. If you could just stand and give a little wave, please. Thank you for coming to support us. All right, we're going to divide into 3 groups for our tour tonight. If you have a green dot, please meet by the stage door on the back of your card. If you have a blue dot, I'm going to have you meet by the double doors to my left. And if you have a yellow dot, just stay seated, and Mrs. Sierra will be taking you once we move.
Place our HVAC. That's going to be quite a lengthy project because we don't have drop seats. We're going to one of our bigger classrooms. Yep. So come on in. Come on in, don't be shy. Welcome to first grade. Come on in. Okay. Come on in, everyone. So this is one of our bigger classrooms. This is first grade. This classroom is 758 square feet, which is actually one of our larger classrooms for first through 8th grade. Most range in square footage between 710 and 730 square feet. To accommodate 21st century learning, a minimum of 840 square feet is needed for a class size of 24 students. I see one of our students kind of fanning herself. This is not staged. This is actually how warm this classroom is all of the time. Which is why we send home many letters to parents about making sure your children layer, because some classrooms are this warm and other classrooms are extremely chilly. The heating of this room and most is heated by radiators. So this room has no thermostat. So the temperature of this room is at the will of the thermostat, which is actually located in the classroom next door. When this room gets too hot, Victor, our director of building and grounds, he actually has to crawl up into the crawl space, which I'm going to show you one a little bit later in the tour. He crawls along the crawl space over this room, and he has to open and shut valves to change the temperature. So often I'm working in the office and I will say to my secretary, "Oh, Victor's on the roof," because you can hear him kind of scuttling around to help with, you can feel how warm it is. So now we're going to be going down just a little bit further to another classroom. The part of the building which is the 1962 edition. So we're going to be entering the part of the building which is the 1962 edition. And I want to point out our wired glass. So right this way, we're going to kind of fill in around here. Come on in. It actually kind of was. Come on in. One of the things I want to point out, we're going to go into this classroom, but when you do, you'll notice that along most of the glass and the doors, all over the building, this is actually against school code. This is very dangerous because if a student's hand or leg or somehow was to go through the glass, this wiring, when they were to pull their hand out, it would just kind of like shred their arm, which is why it is no longer allowed in schools. But you will see it. It is throughout our entire building. But we'll chat more in the room, so come on in. Yes. Okay, as you can see, this classroom, this is the 1962 edition. In this classroom, not much has really been updated in this classroom for the past 57 years. We use this classroom for preschool. We're required to provide preschool to our special education students aged 3 to 5. We currently have an AM and a PM preschool program. In this room, we have about 19 students, and of the 19, 10 attend on a tuition basis, which helps us fund this program. This room is a perfect example of asbestos that has not been abated in the building. The floors, the glue in the ceiling tiles, and the walls all contain asbestos. To update anything within this room, and many of the rooms in Pennoyer, would be a costly asbestos abatement, would need to happen before any of the materials can be installed. We also face challenges with our bathrooms, and I'll just explain for a moment, and then because there's not enough room for us all to squeeze in there. But here in our preschool room, we do have bathrooms that are original to the building of this addition, and they're original. So to change them, to update them to ADA, the American Disabilities Act, would be extremely costly. The bathrooms are very small. They lack privacy for our pre-K students, and most of our pre-K students still require assistance with toileting, so it's very difficult because of the size of them. To do any updates or renovation to these bathrooms, or really any bathroom throughout our entire building, we would need to have an architect draw up plans. We would need to abate the asbestos from the plumbing. We'd need to replumb the entire area, which would be a costly renovation. Does anybody have any questions up to this point that deals with anything that we've seen so far? Okay, so we're going to make our way out the door, but if you want to pop your head in, just to kind of see what I'm talking about, the small space, please do.
And I'll abatement. So the real issue with the abatement is it's a whole separate contract, a whole separate contractor that comes in to do abatement. So, and when can we do it? We have school year 9 months out of the year. So when summer starts, the abatement contractor would come in, plastic off the entire area that's being abated. They have to take out all the asbestos. Then you have to wait to get an air test. When I get the all clear, then another contractor would come in to actually do all the work to put a new floor, a new ceiling. So you see where a 10-week summer, you don't have a lot of time to get all this done. So if you're trying to do large parts of the building, you're talking about multiple summers, and it's going to take years and years and years to actually just do the basics in terms of getting something like that out. The asbestos that would be in the piping as well. You know, there's insulation that has asbestos in it. So just renovating the bathroom, you still have to have that upfront process before you even start actually tackling the bathroom itself.
We're going to be visiting a bathroom a little bit later in the tour in the multi-purpose room that will show you an example of the piping. I hesitate to say it's a big bathroom, but it's a little bit bigger where we'll be able to cycle some people through. So if you want to just kind of peek your head in, and then we're going to just meet at the base of the stairs. All right, I actually made a copy. Further down to look at some water fountains. So come on up. Hi, come on down. So I just want to point out one of our water fountains. You'll notice most of the water fountains in the building look like this one. This is the original to the 1965 edition, and this water fountain, 53 years old. The replacement is actually not a simple solution. Again, the plumbing issue, the asbestos abatement, and for it to be up to the ADA, the American Disability Act, we actually would have to provide water fountains at 2 varying heights. I don't know if you notice when you go into a public building, there's always a water fountain lower and then there's a water fountain higher. So because of this, if we take this out, we also have the issue of breaking into the brick and all that comes with that. So that ends up being quite a costly renovation for a water fountain. Again, notice all the wired glass that would have to be replaced in the building. You really can't find, as we go into the next classroom, you'll see all the glass along this hallway as well is wired. We're actually going to be going into Mrs. Dylake's classroom. This is one of our smaller classrooms, but we're going to squeeze ourselves in. Come on in. Matilda, you want to lead the way? 3rd grade, oh, I see the end. This is a 3rd grade classroom. Again, the temperature of this room just happens to be much colder than if you were downstairs. This room is 689 square feet. It currently has 28 students in this room. This is Mrs. Dylake's classroom, as I have said. When all of the students are in here and working and Mrs. Dylake is in here, it is quite a tight squeeze. The standard square footage for a classroom of this size should be about 980 square feet. As you can see, looking around, all the original casework is from the 1968 edition. There is asbestos flooring. There is an old HVAC system, and the controls make this a room just less than an ideal learning space. So there are several challenges that we thank Mrs. Dialogue every day.
You know, and
Anything
I
else
point
you
out,
noticed?
besides the fact that it's tight without having a whole lot of stuff that's taking up the usable space. The room itself is just small. There's no storage either, so it's not like you could say, well, you know, get rid of stuff or put it in the closet. There's one small closet right there and lockers that really aren't supposed to be used in that manner, but that's what they have. So and there's really no place. If you start to give storage, now you have less usable space. If you take away the storage, you can use it, but what are the kids using? They don't have their supply of materials. Other thing I wanted to point out quickly is you notice we all had to squeeze down to get into this room, and the stairs are right on the other side of where we squeeze down. That it's not supposed to be that way. It's against code to as part of your exiting in an emergency to have a hallway that's 8 feet wide and squeeze everyone down to 3 feet at the end. That's just causing a bottleneck that causes panic. You think about concerts or things like that. You've heard in the past that it really shouldn't be that way. That whole setup of that staircase really doesn't pass muster.
Yeah, we're going to exit through this stairwell, and just so everybody can hear me, another challenge that we face are our narrow hallways. School code requires at least 6 feet for a hallway, and you'll notice as we walk down this stairwell is 3.5 feet. So it's not up to code. That area, you'll notice, also has a lot of wired glass, and just to fix that one small hallway, it would be about $8,000. So as we're moving through the space, you can see that it can be a challenge when we have classrooms with 28 students coming up and classrooms with 28 students going down, whether they're going to gym, to lunch, library, wherever they're going throughout the building. It's a very tight squeeze, which is why I wanted to share that information with you here.
I know that's one of the things that she had mentioned.
Oh, yeah, the intercom, our intercom system, do you know much about, our intercom system is extremely old. It doesn't work very well. We actually had a recent drill, and during one of our drills, we found out that one of our classrooms was not getting the messages. So again, our director of building and grounds had, that was another project that he had to work, just so that we can ensure that they get all along.
Doesn't work. I know I have a thermostat in my room and it doesn't work.
There's a, from what I understand, there's a thermostat in this room, and then all the way down at the very other end of the hallway,
Correct.
that controls the entire floor.
So even though there might be one in here, and this is where it's getting the signals, the system is trying to take care of 4 or 5 rooms at once. It's just inefficient, completely inefficient.